This right here. I am so sorry, everybody, for the late start to this call. That was totally my bad. I started signing in about 5 minutes before it started, and it kept kicking me back out. So we got it all situated, but I am super excited, and I'm going to go through this fast so she can dive in and have enough time. Rachael is actually Rachael Bodie. I know a bunch of you had messaged me that you were super excited to hear from her because you follow her on social media. She is my personal business coach, and the stars aligned, and I found her through Lindsay Holsey, who's also on our team. And honestly, I've been with her 3 weeks is all, and life-changing in all honesty, like I could cry. But we're gonna jump in. I'm gonna let her go. I'm gonna give you a little bit of background on her. So she worked for over a decade for John C. Maxwell as the global leadership consultant, and she has had the responsibility of designing and implementing training or leadership development programs for Fortune 500 companies like Coca-Cola and Microsoft. She then became a mom of two. The demands and pressure of both parents traveling kind of mounted, so she took a leap, something she thought she would never do, and partnered with a direct sales company. In less than 2 years later, she retired from her corporate job, having scaled her business to her network marketing business to 6 figures. And she works now with female entrepreneurs to help them do the same, as scale their business to 6 and 7 figures and creating a life that they love. So we are so blessed to hear from her. I'm going to let her jump into it so that we can hear mostly from her. But honestly, I just want you to know the powerhouse that we are blessed to hear from tonight. So thank you so much, Rachael. I will turn the time over to you and just kind of let you take it away.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. I'm so excited to connect with you gals. And if you're in a place where you're able, I'd love for you guys to turn your cameras on. If you're like in the bathtub or something, please don't. Sarah did my intro for me. So I typically like to just share a little bit about me so you know that you're speaking to someone who understands where you are. I've been where a lot of you are. I grew my social selling business very quickly and was able to scale it to retire myself and my husband. So the things I'm sharing with you are tried and true, both from me personally and then in coaching hundreds of top earners in network marketing. I coach the majority of the women I coach are 6 and 7 figure earners. Okay. So I thought a lot about what I wanted to share with y'all, which by the way, I love doing calls like this. It's so fun. I don't do a lot of evening calls anymore. My girls, I have 2 girls, 9 and 10, and they're like, Mommy, you have a call? What are you going to talk about? Who are you talking to? I said, I'm talking to a lot of mamas who want to be able to do what mommy does, to be able to have freedom, to live life on their own terms and have financial freedom and time freedom. And what a gift, right? This business infrastructure, network marketing and social selling. By the way, you guys, just so you're aware, this model, the social selling model, continues to grow. The market share is on the rise. In 2020, the annual worldwide revenue of social selling was 180 billion with a B. So I love when people are like, that's not a real business. I'm like, oh, that's cute. It kind of is like in the B's, right? So anyway, so what I want to talk to you all about, I want to talk to you about recruiting. And the reason is team building. I hear all the time, my number one thing I hear from leaders in network marketing is, I can't find business builders. Can anyone relate to that? Because I know that was like one of my things for a long time. So the goal of tonight, I want to help you. I'd love to think about it like you and I were sitting down and having like a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and just doing a strategic look and evaluation of how you're marketing and how you're recruiting to help you pinpoint what you're doing right now that isn't working. Because we never set out to do things that don't work, right? It's like if we knew they didn't work, we would stop doing them. So I want to help you to discover that. I want to talk about why it's not working and then exactly what to do instead, the actual steps. So you're able to maximize your time and get results, not be glued to your phone 24/7. My guess is you didn't get into network marketing to be on your phone all the time, right? So I'm going to teach you this process is actually what I teach in my mastermind. So I coach a limited number of women one-on-one, and then I have a mastermind of 6-figure earners where we talk about things like this. And this is actually one of the principles I teach. I call it the attraction marketing formula. And why this is important, because marketing, so how you're showing up on social and how you're showing up in the world, that is the precursor to recruiting. So if you're not doing that well, you're going to find it hard pressed to recruit. That's why we're talking about this. I'm going to talk to you about the number one thing preventing you from recruiting. I see it all the time. It's not what you think. And before we get into all the tactics and the strategy, which I know you want, I want to start by giving you a little snapshot of how your brain works. And just bear with me here, because sometimes people are like, what? What does this have to do with creating results and recruiting? Everything. Some of you may be familiar with this. Well, the way that I teach it, maybe you haven't heard, because it directly impacts your results. I call it the TFA cycle. TFA. I like to use my whiteboard as an illustrator. So what this is all about, and actually before I even share that, I think a lot of trainings don't teach you this. They want you just to change what you're doing without looking at what's driving your action. We have really good reasons for why we do things, and it starts in our brain, what we're thinking. Okay? So it's not just about, when you're recruiting, it's not just about what you're doing, but it's the why behind it. It's your reasons and the thoughts that you have as you're out there working your business. Okay? And what I mean is, this starts with your current thoughts about recruiting, like what you think when you think about talking about the business. It's gonna really impact what shows up in your results. So this all stems from this TFA. So I call it the think, feel, act cycle. Okay, so it looks a little bit like this. You have a thought in your brain, and that when you think it, it creates an emotion in your body. So you guys can see that. And then an emotion in your body creates, or it motivates you to take an action, or in some cases, an inaction. Because sometimes we hide when we feel certain feelings, right? So the reason why this is important is you can shift your results in a sustainable way by shifting your mindset, by getting to the root of why you're doing what you do. Sounds really simple, and it is, but simple is not always easy, right? I don't know if anyone, like, we know the things that we need to do, but sometimes we don't do them. And let me just tell you, I am a results girl. I was the #1 top business strategist working directly for John Maxwell for over a decade. So I'm all about the results. So when I first learned this, I'm like, yeah, I get it, the mindset. But I have stuff to do over here. Y'all, this is everything. So if you're like me, just like bear with me here. I want to show you how this actually shows up in your business. So the most successful social sellers, those who are scaling to multiple 6 figures and beyond, what I've discovered, the #1 reason they're not crushing it in recruiting is because they haven't learned how to manage this process and to manage what's happening in their mind. And by the way, I don't mean affirmations. Like, you can't just look in the mirror and tell yourself, you're a great leader over and over again. Because your brain's like, no, you're not. It's like an affirmation is reciting something over and over again that you don't believe. So you actually have to create things that you believe are true. Otherwise, it doesn't change how you're feeling about that thought. So powerful. Because I used to do the affirmations, even though I felt like they were kind of cheesy. And I'm like, this isn't working because I don't believe it. So let's just talk about some of the most common things that I hear in coaching so many social sellers. Ooh, let me just click on that. #1, I don't know what to do. I hear all the time, like, I don't even know where to start. I hear that. I can't find business builders. I can't get them to join me. I have to go out and find teammates. Here's the other big one. I'm doing something wrong. I want you to just notice for a second if you can identify with any of those thoughts. Which, by the way, is the chat enabled? Does any of that resonate? Any of those things I just shared? Has anyone ever thought any of those things? Yeah. So let me explain why this is important. Those sneaky little thoughts. Sarah said yes. Megan said yes. Diana, yes. Thank you for being honest. Emily, thank you. Yeah. Our brain is like in just allowing these thoughts to go unchallenged. And when you think about these sneaky little thoughts, they end up sabotaging your efforts. And let me explain why. So let's just take one of those. Let's say you think to yourself, I can't find business builders. Feels true, right? You're like, I'm just telling the truth. Like I'm reporting the news. When you tell yourself, I can't find business builders, the way you're going to feel, the typical feelings I hear are frustrated, defeated, confused. How do you think you show up in your business when you're feeling frustrated, defeated, and confused? Or someone in your downline? I'll tell you, there are two typical responses. And I want you to notice which one of these you are, okay? Some of you go into hiding. You hide from talking about the business and inviting. You don't interact. Some of you are smiling. So that leads me to believe that that is you. And there's no right or wrong here. This is just what we do as humans. You scroll on social and you compare yourself to other people, either in your business or other businesses. You judge yourself and beat yourself up. Feels, completely not useful. You consume a lot of trainings. So you go into like procrastinating. You're like learning all the things, but not doing anything. And you trick your brain into thinking you're working, right? All of the above, Jen said. Yes, you are not alone. So that's one, is the people who kind of flight. And then there's the people like me who tend to fight. And what that looks like is you go over to overactioning. You go into hustle mode. You're like, I'm going to just like invite all the people and I'm going to recruit all the people from a place of scarcity and fear and overworking. I'll admit there was a season of my business where I sent mass invites. I look back and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? But it was from this place. Going into busy work, working on emails and slides and Facebook ads and just a scattered focus, not focusing on what's creating results. And again, staying in learning mode. Okay, which one are you? Are you someone who, when you're believing I can't find them, do you go into hustle and overworking and action? Do you go into fight or do you go into flight and you hide? Which one are you? Sarah said flight. Usually it's a procrastinating flight. Okay, flight. Oh, wow, interesting. How interesting. Look at that. So normally it's about 50-50. Flight, avoid, both. Sometimes I do both too, by the way. So I'm a little bit of like an equal opportunity fight and flighter. Okay, interesting. So it's so good just to notice that. If you find yourself doing any of these things, you guys, I want you to know it's not your fault. You're just believing what your brain is telling you. And we all do that. It's called unintentional thinking. It's a thought that pops up in your brain and you don't challenge it. But here's the thing. So many of you think you're not recruiting because you're doing something wrong. And that's partially true because you're overthinking and overcomplicating. It's coming from your thoughts, right? Because if you think I'm not a good leader, or sorry, that was another training that I did today. When you think I don't know how to recruit, I can't find business builders, and you feel defeated, and you either fight or flight, it just proves the thought true. You're like, oh, see, you can't find business builders. I just want to make sure, Christine, that you're muted, please. So it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. So when you think that you're doing something wrong, again, it's partially true, but you're just overcomplicating it, but it's all coming from your thoughts. The very first step is to understand in all of this, and I'm going to give you the strategy because I love me some strategy. But the first step is to understand we never take any action ever without feeling a certain way first. And you never feel any certain way without thinking something first, ever. And you know what's really great about this? It's such great news because that means nothing needs to change outside of you for everything to shift in your business. You have 100% control over what you're thinking. And listen, you can't control your first thought. It's like if I tell you don't think of a pink elephant, you're like, I'm thinking of a pink elephant. But you can control the second thought. You can challenge the thought and say, is that true? Do I want to continue thinking this? Is it serving me? Is it helpful? Okay. So what I'm talking about right now, this is the foundation of the attraction marketing formula. Okay. This idea of mindset. And I feel like mindset can be so overused, but I wanted to explain this to you so you actually see how this plays out. It really is everything. In order for you to shift how you think about something, it starts with just creating awareness. So I want you to think about, what are your thoughts about recruiting or team building? When you think about building a business, when you think about inviting to the business, I want you to notice what feelings come up. That's probably a better question. How do you feel? Do you feel kind of like, oh, sweaty, anxious, I don't want to do this? Just ask yourself. Alicia said anxiety. That's so super common. So excited. Oh, I like that. Some of you, I also love recruiting now, so I love sharing and recruiting. But what's interesting, so you ask yourself what the feeling is, and then to get to the thought, you ask why. Why are you nervous, Melissa? Why do you feel anxious, Alicia? Why do you feel excited, Brittany? That's going to give you the thoughts that you have. And it's so useful because it allows you to get to kind of the root of what you're thinking, okay? So for those of you who are not scared of rejection, that is such great self-awareness. You hit it on the head. So often the reason we feel anxious is because we don't want to be rejected. Our brain is wired to do three things: seek pleasure, avoid pain, and stay in homeostasis. Keep it as simple and requiring as little brain power as possible to conserve energy. So your brain is wired to avoid rejection. Because back in the day, if you got rejected, you would die, you guys. Back in the tribal times, you get left, you are gone. You're on your own. You're going to get eaten by like a saber-toothed tiger or something. But seriously, this is how our brain is wired. So just really, really good to just notice that. Okay, so your recruiting mindset. I want to help those of you who don't have thoughts that are serving you to help you supercharge some beliefs around recruiting. I've been in social selling for just under a decade. I've coached just hundreds, maybe even thousands of top earners. And so I've noticed patterns around their thoughts when it comes to them being very successful recruiters. And I've asked many of them, what do you love about recruiting? Or what do you love about your business? And I have like maybe 8 to 10 thoughts from the top earners. By the way, I coach across industries. So I'm in, I don't know, maybe like 8 companies. So this is just like top earners across different network marketing companies, okay? So I want to share with you the thoughts that they have. And what's so interesting is these same thoughts kept coming up. And they didn't speak to each other. So it's just interesting. So you may want to jot some of these down. The first one is so simple. It's just, I can help. I can help her. Instead of thinking about, she's going to think I'm pushy, I can't do this, I don't know what to say, it's not working, she thinks I'm icky, she thinks MLMs are a scam, whatever, all the thoughts that we think. What if you just believed, I can help her. She needs me. This opportunity is what she's been waiting for. This is my opportunity to serve her. This could change her life. It's changed my life, even if it's in small ways. I want to help. This business is a gift. My life has changed. I'm paying it forward. I love this one. It feels good to believe that what I have is valuable and people want that value. Let me tell you something. You embrace thoughts like that, the result that you will create is recruiting massive numbers of women who want the value you have to offer. You've got to really believe that it's valuable. This is why it's so powerful. When you really believe in your bones and your core that what you're offering is valuable and a gift, it's so easy to invite and share. It really is. And again, I speak from experience on this one. This simple shift in your mindset can change the entire cycle. So let me just use an example. Let's use one of my favorite thoughts. I used to tell myself this all the time. I actually used to say, this is what she's been praying for, because this business is what I prayed for. I was like a very unhappy new mom of two, over drinking, overeating. Everything was perfect though from the outside, right? But I was miserable, traveling all the time, away from my kids. And I was praying, like crying on Sunday nights, like having anxiety attacks. Like, I can't do this. I don't want to leave. And I was a woman who was praying for this. So I love that thought, like, this is what she's been praying for. So maybe you think some version of that. I'm not sure everyone is with their beliefs. Maybe you think this is what she's been waiting for. And when you think that, you feel inspired, purposeful, confident, positive emotions, right? And when you're feeling that way, what you do is you show up and you serve her. You actually ask questions and listen. You add value to her. You connect with her. You show up consistently. You invite her in from a place of service, not from a place of I have to get somebody or I have to hit my number. You understand? Because when you tell yourself that, it puts a lot of pressure on your business. And pressure is not an income or impact producing emotion. Can I get an amen on that one? Right? It's like, whoa, like end of the month. It's like, no, we don't, like, we want to avoid that at all costs. Okay. So this is the recruiting mindset. It really is the serving mindset. Oh, here's another thought I just thought of. This is another one that I love. It's about her. Like, that's my marketing strategy summed up in 3 words. When I sit down to market, I think it's about her. What does she need to hear? How can I encourage her? How can I inspire her? How can I share something that's going to help her today, where she is right now, to help her move towards a solution? So simple. Really good, Megan. Yes, trusting the process, knowing as you show up and serve, the rest will take care of itself. I really love that. Really powerful. So the bottom line, that's all I'm going to share. I could literally talk all night on this one piece, but what I want you to know, and hopefully I've convinced you, that your recruiting mindset matters. If you show up and you have crappy thoughts and you're trying to do all the things, you're going to keep creating that result. So I really want to encourage you to start to notice. It's like, think about a check engine light on a car. When you start to feel anxious, defeated, inadequate, uncertain, frustrated, it's like, ding, 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 what am I thinking? The light is going off. You're having a thought in your brain that's not serving you. So figuring out what it is and then shifting it to one that you believe that helps you to feel differently, and then taking action is going to serve you so well. And Sarah is really working on becoming an expert in this process, and Lindsay Holsey also. So you've got a lot of resources there to help you. Okay. You guys ready to talk about strategy? Because this is like the good stuff. I love some strategy. All right. So here we go. I'm going to share the formula with you. Also very simple. 3 components. You need all 3, but it's bolstered by the serving or recruiting mindset. So I'm just going to put this at the bottom here, and then I'm going to share with you the 3 different components here. So the first is you've got to meet new people. You have to be meeting new people or growing your audience. It's really critical, right? Then once you meet those new people, from there you need to add value to them. And by the way, I'm going to break down each one of these so you understand what these are. And adding value is all about nurturing your audience. So you meet these new people, you're growing your audience, you nurture your audience, and then once you do that, you invite them in. You recruit them. You invite them to experience what you have to offer with the business opportunity, okay? You need all 3. This should have been a little bit longer. Let's do like this. I was not an artist, you guys. That is not one of my strengths. Okay, so you guys get the gist of the flow here. Here's what I really want you to know, and here's what I see as the most common mistake. Network marketers who have 1 of these 3 or 2 of these 3. You need all 3. If you don't have all 3, you will not recruit. So as I'm sharing these, I want you to just do a self-evaluation. Which of these three, or maybe there's two of the three where those are your areas that you need to work on. Because what I want you to do more than anything is leave this call and say, okay, yes, this is what I'm going to do tonight or tomorrow, depending on where you are in the world. This is the action I'm going to take. Because that's where the rubber meets the road, right? You can't just listen to a training and not do anything, or you won't change any results in your business. And that's really what I want for you so badly. I want you to be able to earn in this business because it's so possible for you. It really is. Okay, so let me kind of explain how this shakes out. So if you're meeting new people and you're inviting them in, so meeting and inviting, this equals being gross and salesy, which is what I did at one point in my business. Not how I started my business, but then everybody was going towards cold messaging. And so I did it and it felt gross. Didn't work. Stopped doing it. But it is still something that people do. And it's a common strategy taught in our industry sometimes. Sometimes people say, you want to grow a large organization, send more messages, 10 extra invites, send hey girls, send cold messages. And the reason this doesn't work, it feels inauthentic to you. And guess what? It feels inauthentic to them too, you guys. They know, your audience knows when you're sending a canned message. Don't you know when someone sends you a message like that? And you're like, did you even look at my profile? I get messages like that sometimes. And I'm like, I'm a social selling coach. I want you to think about how you respond when you get a message like that and what you think. This is not the way to recruit high quality teammates, right? Plus, it models for them, this is what they have to do. You're like, you don't have to be gross or spammy, even though I'm being gross and spammy right now. When you just think about what you're modeling. And also, and it just sends those mixed messages. So, and here's what I will say. Maybe it could work in some short-term results, but this is what happens when you follow this method. You're hustling and then burning out. Hustling and burning out. And that is not sustainable or fun in your business, okay? So this is the first meeting and inviting when you're missing the adding value. Now, if you are meeting new people and adding value, and you're missing the inviting people in, this is actually, I think, best case scenario. You have a huge untapped audience. So this is like the other extreme. And Alicia just said, build relationships. Sometimes I see people who are only building relationships. They're like, they'll come. I don't have to invite them. I'm just going to go on and share and add value. And I'm not going to invite. What I see is that people get stuck in relationship building and they don't know how to transition to invite someone in. And they're like, I don't even know what adding value means. Am I adding value? What does that, what does that even look like? So it's really important that you're actually inviting them in. Because when you're doing this, you have this whole huge untapped audience. Okay. Now, the last piece is if you are adding value and then inviting them in, what do you think is going to happen if you were adding value and inviting them in, but not meeting new people? You're going to run out of people. And I hear people saying, I have nobody. The same people are watching my stories every day. And I'm like, are you meeting new people? No. Try market. Exactly. So when you're adding value and inviting them in, when you're adding value and inviting them in and you're not filling the top of the pipeline, you're going to run out of people to serve. Okay. So you really, as you can see, you really need all three pieces. So I want to do deep dive a little bit into each piece and give you guys a little bit more specifics on these, okay? So let's just talk about the first bucket, meeting new people, growing your audience. There are so many ways to do this. Hashtags are one way. Relevant hashtags. Going to hashtags where your ideal recruit may go to. So if you help moms, or maybe you help working moms, or you help runners, or you have a niche where you help nurses, or maybe it's a combination of those things, you go to the places where they hang out. Maybe you go to influencer pages where your best teammate may love to follow. in real life. What a concept. We get so focused on social that we forget you can actually talk about this in real life. I think it's actually one of the best ways. Some of the women who I coach who have been the most successful in their businesses have built a really strong local market. So if that isn't something that you've done, you may want to just consider. That could be something. And it's so fun to be able to do business when you get to see each other in real life. This is fun too, but it's just another nuance. Facebook groups are a place where you can meet people. Reels, that's huge right now, right? With Instagram really favoring and the algorithm really favoring video content. Now, do you have to do Reels? No, you don't have to do anything. The best way to meet people is to go out there and meet people. So it doesn't even matter like the way. So I don't want you to get up in your head and say, oh, well, this is the way I have to do it. So-and-so is doing this way, or this is what so-and-so on social media said you need to do. No, you just have to go out there and do the thing and start taking messy action, okay? Now, here's the thing I want to share with you. As you are doing this, I want you to think about meeting as many new people. Notice I put that word in, new. And here's why. When you meet someone new, they have no prior self-concept of you. You get to be whoever you want to be. You get to be this business mentor, this positive influence on their life, and you get to choose everything about your identity. And even ask yourself the question, like, what story am I going to share about myself with the new people I meet? I don't know about you guys, but like sometimes family, when you're starting a business like this, people who know you can do the most damage. They have a lot of thoughts about your business. Do you know what I'm saying? Like people, when I told them I was quitting John Maxwell to start a network marketing business, my parents were like, have you lost your mind? We don't think that's a good idea. And I'm like, thank you, but this is what I'm going to do anyway. And now they're like, oh, okay, I guess it was a good move. But I mean, again, when you meet new people, you get to decide what the narrative is going to be. And as you meet each new person, I want you to think about every human, every person who clicks like, every story view is a precious human interaction. It's somebody who you could potentially serve now, 2 months from now, 3 years from now. It's not up to you to decide how quickly you can convert the relationship, right? Oh, every like is a heartbeat. Oh, I love that. I've never heard that before, but I love that. Yes, 100%. So when you think about growing your network, I want you to remember it's not about having a massive following for the sake of having a large following. Loyalty is more important than large. Loyalty is greater than large. That's like a good formula. I need to remember that one for my next call. And the way you create loyalty by being authentic. I actually just shared a reel about this today. You guys, so I am a Christian and we're very active at our church. And when I first started my network marketing business, I used to be so fake. That's the only word for it. I would not share gangster rap or EDM. Like, that's the music I like, you guys. That's the music I like. There's curse words. I curse sometimes. But I was so afraid to share that part of me because I was like, oh, what are people going to think? They're going to think I'm a bad Christian because I listen to like Biggie. Or I genuinely, it sounds funny now that I tell the story, but I was deleting who I was. I was deleting my authenticity. And do you know, so many of my clients now are believers who definitely like to drop some curse words. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my people. And that doesn't mean like, whatever your thoughts are on that, those are your thoughts. But I just want to offer that to you because when I decided to truly embrace who I was, that's when I started to attract my people in. So what's that version? What is your version of rap music? And how can you start really like embracing that part of you and sharing it, whatever that is? Okay, so this is how you create loyalty, through authenticity. You create it by being interested in someone over trying to be interesting. You create it in the way you ask questions and you actually listen to the answers and not try to guide the conversation to an invite. That's what it means to show up and serve and hold space in that conversation for someone to really listen and care about what they have to say. telling you, people are not doing this. So when you do this, people will be like, whoa, you're like the best conversationalist. And you're thinking, I didn't even say anything. I just asked you questions. But it just makes people feel so valued, right? So the first step to loyalty, being authentic. The second step is adding value. So let's talk about that. The second bucket, adding value. So adding value is all about nurturing your audience, nurturing relationships. Someone had said building relationships. There's two ways you can do this. You can do this publicly with the content that you share in email marketing, on Instagram, Facebook, in your stories, reels, all that. Or the other way that you can do it when you're building to your first 100K, one of the most powerful ways that you can build relationship is one-on-one connection, either in the DMs or text or real life. There's nothing like it. Being able to really connect with another human. So let me just start with the adding value through your content. One of the things that is useful, it's helpful to just get clear on what makes you you. This is hard for a lot of us because we all think we're boring, right? We're like, I'm so boring. Something like that's really cool about me. You guys, that's not true. I want to challenge that thought. So I want you to think about 3 to 5 things that you like to share about, that you like to talk about. These are called brand pillars. That's a fancy name. Brand pillars or content pillars. Really, it's like what makes you you. Like for me, faith. I love talking about fashion. I love fitness. I love talking about mindset and growth. My family. It's just like the things that make you who you are. That's all positioning. When people are like brand positioning, they use all these fancy marketing terms. Showing up and sharing about what makes you you in a way that's like normal and using your authentic words. That's it. That's all it is. And it makes posting a lot easier when you have those things you can reach and kind of have on rotation. They're pillars. They're things that you can add value to your audience and share stories about those things or pieces of your life or empowering her or maybe educating her in one of those areas. Okay. Couple questions to just maybe help you to clarify. You can ask yourself, what are your favorite things to talk about? Like what could you talk about like all day long? What are you better at than most people you know? Or if your best friend were to share what you were all about in a few words, what would she share? Just think about some of those questions. Just jot down some ideas that will help you so you don't get into this thing of like, oh, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to share. Because listen, done is better than perfect all day long, you guys. It will never be perfect. And if you tell yourself it has to be, what's going to happen is you're going to shut down and stop posting. I know because it's happened to me and so many other people. So just aim for B- work and take that messy action. You can improve as you go. Okay. So adding value through your content, talked a little bit about that. And then I want you to think about, if you think about who your ideal rep is, like who that dream recruit is, it's going to be really useful to ask yourself, okay, who is she? And maybe what season of life is she in? I want to help new moms or empty nesters or grade school moms. And then what attributes does she have? And I mean like personality attributes. Like for example, my best clients are coachable, relentless, grateful, hungry for growth. That's who they are. Now they may be all different ages. Oh, and they're network marketers. So that's who they are and that's their attributes. Those are the women, that's how I market. I think of those women when I market. I think about them when I create content and when I'm delivering. I'm just very clear on that. So when you think about her, now you can think about, okay, what is she struggling? What does she want? Because the way that you can create value is you offer a solution to the problem that she has. So what's keeping her up at night? Is she dreading waking up on Monday because she has to go to work? Does she want desperately to not have her kids in daycare? Does she want community and growth? Does she want to take trips but she doesn't have money? Does she want to take her family to Disney? Like, what does she want? The more you can get clear on that and start to share and speak to that, it'll be huge. And creating content that solves her problems, I call this value-based marketing. Very simple. It's, you have a problem, I have a solution, here's how I can help. And hint, the solution is your business opportunity. There's a lot of problems that women like us have that your opportunity is a solution for. All those things that, sorry about that, you guys. I had a timer set, so I was not paying attention. So I want you to just notice that and think about how you can create content to solve her problems. And by the way, this can be related to your business opportunity or not. Maybe you are into home decor and you're sharing content that solves those problems. I have a client, one of my clients is really big into fashion. She's actually top 10 coach with Beachbody, and she shares a lot of fashion stuff. Her clients love that. Another one does sensory bins. I don't even know what that is. But she has so many women who follow her for information on that. So I want you to think about like the things that your ideal client is going to be attracted to and start to build trust with them in that way. And instead of sending these mass invites to people or cold invites, this is how you attract her in by creating content that speaks to her. This is attraction marketing, right? This is what adding value in your marketing is all about. You are using your words and your content to give her value before she says yes to you. I love thinking about someone coming to my page and having a little mini transformation just by reading my content. Like, that's my goal. So I want you to think about that when you are creating this content. Are you providing that kind of value ahead of time? Now, if you start freaking out and getting all crazy and like it's not working, then just go back to your pillars. But really the truth is, it just takes practice, you guys, right? No one is an expert right out of the gate. And the more you do this and the more you evaluate it, the better you'll get. Okay. Oh, and by the way, when you're doing this and adding a lot of value, when you do a call to action, she's going to want to be compelled to want to work with you because you've given her so much value already for free. Okay, final way. So I talked about adding value in your content, right? Through your brand, and then also through value-based marketing, solving problems. You can also add value, building those one-on-one relationships. And actually, you know what? I already talked about this. It really is just being curious and focusing on them. I love that thought. It's about her, asking questions, listening, believing that I want something for them instead of thinking about what you can get from them. Like, people can totally pick up on that. So it's really just using that thought, and you just share like what you would in real life. So like, even when I write my copy, or for you guys, when you're sending messages, read it out loud. If it sounds like a robot, it should sound like how you talk. So use your words, right? Because you just want it to be authentic. And really just, one of the things I like to think about is just to focus on being fascinated. Like, what kind of questions would you ask if you were just so fascinated and curious about someone? Like, I wonder why you think that, or why are you into that, or what led you to do that? It's an attitude of fascination. Okay, last bucket, offering to help. So this one's super short. This is all about inviting them in to experience what you have to offer with the business. Remember, when you're thinking about them and the fact that they have all these problems and you have a solution that is going to help them to transform their life, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, all the ways. When you're thinking about that, it's impossible to feel salesy or icky. You just continue to focus on their transformation. Now, there's a lot of ways you can do this. You can do a call to action in your post. You can do it in your stories with like a sticker or a poll. You could do it one-on-one, right? Here's the thing though. I see this a lot where people don't really do calls to action. They're like, oh yeah, that was a call to action. I'm like, no, it wasn't really. So let me explain what it is and what it isn't. Okay. A call to action is telling people how to contact you. So link in bio, DM me, drop a emoji, those kind of things. It's a very direct, here's how you contact me. You're sharing with them a compelling reason why they should reach out. And this is in the body of your content somewhere. The transformation you have had, how you're going to help them, what's in it for them, what you can help them with. So you want to give them a really good reason to reach out to you. If you don't have those pieces, it's not really a call to action. So really just be bold and do the call to action and have that recruiting mindset and formula in your brain. Okay, I have one other piece here. And I think I'm just going to give you guys a little component here because I don't want to go, I'm just watching the clock. I want to give you guys a little bit of time to ask questions. So here's what I really want to offer to you. In this process, the most important piece, well, there's two pieces. There's commitment and then there's consistency. I want you to think about what commitment is. Commitment is not wanting something. You could want something and not be committed. Wanting is something that you want to have, that you wish to have. Doesn't require action. It's passive. It's comfortable. It can even feel good to set a big goal. I'm going to earn 6 figures. I hear that all the time. It's great to want something, but there's no change in results when you want. When you're committed, it is a promise that you're going to do something. 100% commitment requires action. It requires getting uncomfortable, and there's going to be a change in the results. So one of the concepts I teach is 100% commitment, and this is my definition. I'm going to keep taking action until I create the result that I want. My goal was to create a 7-figure business when I started my business 6.5 years ago. Next year we will hit $1 million. Took longer than I expected. Do you think I'm mad about that? No, the answer is no. I'm not mad about it. I'm very happy to have created that, and all the failure and all the tears and all the learning. It was all worth it. So I just want to offer to you, how would you show up today if you believe, you know what? I know this is going to happen, and I'm just going to keep going till I figure this out. The women who create 6- and 7-figure businesses, that's what they do. They're relentless, like in the best way. So I want you to think about commitment. Commitment's BFF is consistency. They go together. And that consistency compounds. I want you to think about like an iceberg. So my girls, we watched Titanic, and my kids may have been too young. They're like, this is scary. I'm like, you're right, it is kind of scary. They have like the iceberg they're about to hit, and it had me thinking about an iceberg and the water line, and we just don't know. We're out there doing our thing, right? And we're like, it's not working. But we can't see what's beneath the water line. All we see are the likes and comments. We don't see maybe that woman who is, this was me, staying up late at night, going to my uplines page, stalking her, legit, you guys, looking at all her posts, reading everything, never commenting on anything because I was afraid she'd reach out to me. And I just watched and watched and watched. And one day I reached out and said, I'm ready. What do I need to do to create a 6-figure business? So I want you to just think about someone tonight checking out your feed. You have this new fan who's you're quietly nurturing. She loves what you have to say. And the next post that you share could be the post to push her over the edge. So I really want to encourage you. Keep showing up. That consistency compounds over time. And as you are showing up with this mindset and you're working this process, the results are inevitable. They really are. And I've seen it so many times. Okay, guys, that's what I have for you tonight. I was just trying to watch the clock because I could go and go.
No, that was so good. Like listening to everyone's or watching everybody's comments and text messages that I've been getting. Honestly, I just think you're a breath of fresh air in this industry. And anyway, everything that you said was so amazing. Do you want to take, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but do you want to take a couple questions and then we'll.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy to, you guys. I'm an open book, so feel free to ask if you want any clarification or you have any questions on anything. I'm happy to share.
Just put it, you can put it in the chat if anybody has any questions or if you want clarification, like she said. I felt like you just explained it so good. Like even though we've talked about all this before, I still had so many notes to be like, you're just pulling different nuggets. The consistency compounds 100%. I feel like that is with the commitment. Anyway, all of it. So good.
Well, listen, here's what I want to offer to all of you. If you guys have other questions that pop up, feel free to message me on Instagram. Also, if you want to understand how to start to manage your mind, I have a free resource on my in my link in my bio. It's a guide. It's called Next Level Results Guide. So it walks you through how to do this mindset management process. So powerful. I wish someone would have taught this to me like 20 years ago. Let's see. I'm just looking at the notes. Yeah. You know what? I think I just love this industry, network marketing. I would have never ventured out to start my own business ever. If not for having this infrastructure, having a low barrier to entry, having something that I could do while I was working. I worked my full-time position at John Maxwell for 2 years with a 4 and 3-year-old and my husband traveling. I used to get up at 4:30 a.m. Sure, some of you can relate, to work my business because I was just desperate for that change. So it really is, there's nothing like it out there. And I have to tell you, your organization and the trajectory for Zaya, you guys, I mean, I don't want to say that like there are better or worse opportunities, but I will say a newer company like yours, pretty cool versus coming into a company that's been around for 100 years. And you know what I mean? So you guys have an awesome opportunity here. Really exciting.
Yes, so much exciting stuff. Paula, I saw you had your hand raised, but if you want to ask later or whatever, I just saw you had your hand raised. I don't know if you're still on. I don't see you on anymore.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, right. That happened because I didn't even touch my computer, so I honestly don't know how that happened. But
oh, that's okay.
I've got a question though. So I've set up a Facebook group, which I hopefully am adding a lot of value in there. But what is your recommendation to get people into the group without being spammy?
Without being spammy?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to do that. So is that just like posting just generally on your Facebook or Instagram page, news feed, and then inviting people into the group?
Yeah, or I think that's.
Or would you recommend messaging people you do know and inviting them into the group?
Well, I think so. Those are all actions. And I think the most important thing is really thinking about to begin with the end in mind. So what is your intent for the group? I love to think like, this is a group for like customers?
Customers or potential reps as well, yes.
Okay. So I love to start with thinking about how do you want to think about this group? Like this is a group, it's going to be so much fun. We're going to be doing X, Y, and Z promotions, sharing new launches. I want you to think about why these people would potentially want to be in the group. How does it provide a solution for a problem they have? So let me just give you a quick, for example. I love workout wear. I am all about some athleisure. And let me tell you, if someone shares their outfit, I just want to like know where they got it so I can click and buy the outfit. So to me, that adds value to me when I see one of my friends, like one of my clients posted, oh, Carbon 38. And I'm like, oh, done, click, click. Or I follow a lot of Zaya gals too. So I have a lot of Zaya athleisure. And so that's a solution to a problem. So maybe you share like, hey, you want to be in this group? I do alpha, or I do an outfit of the week. Super fun. It's motivating to have a cute workout wear, or even just on the weekends to like not be schlepping around in, sweatpants. So I want you to think about when you're sharing on social, how can you invite them in, but sharing it in a way that it's a solution to a problem they may have. So I think what could be useful is thinking about, okay, what are all the benefits of the group? How can you share that in a fun way? And then I mean, in my opinion, when it comes to clothes, I share stuff right now for free. I'm sharing, like, people ask me where I get my outfits, and I'm like, I'm not getting paid for that. So I think it's a way to add value. I don't think it's spammy.
No,
So
okay.
I think if I opened a group, I would say, hey, I have this really fun group. Here's what we're doing in there. I'd love to invite you in. No pressure either way, but I think it'd be really fun. Super chill. Like, that does not spammy at all.
Terrific. Oh, yeah, I think I tend to overthink things. I think that's one of my drawbacks. I think about things too deeply.
Yeah, you know what? That's so common for high achievers. And here's why. The thought that is driving that often is, I have to get it right. As if there's this perfect way out there, somewhere out there in the universe, that's the right way. And when we tell ourselves that, we feel nervous, anxious, and then we spin and spin and overthink. It's like ready, aim, right?
Yeah.
So the solution is taking messy action. Listen, I know, because I'm right there with you. I was like overthinker, perfectionist, all of it. And so I would tell myself, messy action creates momentum. And I would set a timer, and I'm like, when this timer goes off, I'm posting come hell or high water. And I do this still to this day, because I will overthink content.
Yeah, oh, I do that.
Like, oh, this needs to be right. Or, oh, and I'm like, nope. When the timer goes off, I hit post. And it gets you in this process of just taking action and putting your work out into the world. So just know, Paula, you're not alone in that. And just notice that that is an indication for you to know, uh-oh, I'm believing something that's not serving me. What am I thinking right now? Is that true? What do I want to think instead?
Yeah. Terrific. Thank you so much, Rachel. That's great advice.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. Rachel, you're amazing. Thank you so much, honestly, for jumping on and pouring into us tonight. I know so many people got so much out of it, and we just can't thank you enough for your, I don't know, just your spirit and what you share. You can tell it's straight from your heart, and it's, I don't know, it's different than what we normally see out there in the industry and coaching. So we love it so much. Thank you. I am going to end this. I will have the recording and put it into the group. Like she said, you can message her through social media or kind of connect with her that way. I would go follow her. She has incredible content on her page as well, and keep kind of learning from her through that way too. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for jumping on. Have an awesome night, and we will get together soon. See ya.